Morning. Well, same day anyways. Next project we got on the list today to do, this is DB3 bracket it's called. It's made by Metal Cloak for Jeep JKs. This is where your rear axle links to the frame. So this bolts onto your stock bracket, and then your rear axle links bolts to this. Essentially, it lowers the link mounts. Well, these things, I guess for the average person, are probably more than adequate. But if you take a look here, it doesn't take too many rocks to just beat the ever-living daylights out of this. So not only is this bent over, starting to tear, I actually had to cut this off with a flap disc because it was binding the joint up. That's Southern Missouri rocks for you right here. So anyways, what we're gonna do, it's kind of a complicated process here. The first thing I'm going to do is heat up this and this, and then hammer it flat. With it flat, I'm going to clean all of this material off on the inside and here. And then we're going to weld reinforcement plates on this in order to strengthen this. Now there's a couple issues. If you watch my previous video, I talked about the zinc galvanizing coating. So Metal Cloak and a lot of other companies they dip these parts in zinc or a form of galvanizing, hot dip. Well, you don't want to weld on that or really heat it because you'll get zinc fume fever. It also welds pretty terribly. Like, you definitely can't TIG weld this stuff. And honestly, I don't want to sit here for a long time grinding all this stuff clean because it's embedded in the metal and all that dust still gets in your lungs. Not good. So what we're going to do is I'm going to heat this up, beat it, and then we're going to have to be smart about it and weld this reinforcement plates up so that we're not breathing all that crap in. So there you have it. Let me get my torch ready. I'm literally on fumes on acetylene and oxygen, so hopefully we can get this done and go from there. Got old Smoky lit up here. Let's start heating this up and then give it the old heat and beat. Now my face is not going to be anywhere near this, and I got a vent going on right now, which you probably can't hear, but you don't want to be breathing this stuff, trust me. Now, if you take a look here, this is starting to tear here, but overall it's a little wider than it needs to be. We'll do a little bit of work later on that, but not too bad. Again, you can see the evidence, all the yellow and white welder's dust there. Same thing here. Sorry about the camera. You don't want to be breathing that stuff. I should be wearing a respirator. Don't be stupid like I am. Now what I'm going to do, we're going to pick up some steel here somewhere from the shop, cut it, and splice it on there as a reinforcement. We're going to armor these things up so they can actually take a beating and not fail as bad as they did. Let's get mocked up on this. So what I'm going to do is take this steel, that kind of positioned where I want it, probably about right. Sometimes you wish you had an extra hand or two. Let me mark this. Take a look now. Make sure that that's what I want it to be. Oh, yeah, that ought to do it. All right, well, now that we have that marked, I'm going to go and cut this. I don't even have enough acetylene on my torch to cut this with that, so I'm going to have to use an angle grinder and a flap disc, I guess. So I'll cut that up, and then we'll check it out, make sure it's going to work, clean this piece up a little bit more, get it tacked on, and then switch to the other side and reinforce this. Weld that up, and then we're going to fix this lower skid plate bullshit right here that kind of got beat up on rocks. Put something a little bit heavier on here maybe, just so it takes the hits a little bit better. Well, I got this piece cut. What I'm going to do is tack it here and here. And then if you look here, see how this piece is angled different? I'm going to put a cut here, hammer this over, and then weld it after I weld this on. But overall, I'll have to cut that off once I tack it and everything. But I'm going to get it tacked on and then go from there. I'm using 60-10 rod. This, ideally, you would use 70-18. I don't really need the strength, to be honest with you. I mean, this just has to hold up against some rocks, and for tacking, I prefer 60-10 anyways. So let's see what I can do here. Set that right there. Just got a couple tacks. I'm going to cut this piece off and then probably cut this down, hammer it over. Bonus nachos, no safety guard on this. That's pretty good. That ought to do it. So let me get a couple more tacks on there, and then we'll weld it out. Don't need that setting on fire. Stick the rod, of course, because I didn't have my auto dark on. All right. That's pretty good. There we go. So, set that there. Let me just set that down and take my gloves off for a second. All right, well, got it tacked on there. You can see follows the bend pretty decent there, no problems. I'm going to clean this up with a wire brush a little bit and then get to welding. So I'm going to set my rods there using 332 60-10. I think it's at about 60 amps here, plus or minus, but let's get welding this. Now the welds on this aren't going to be the prettiest, but they'll work. Yeah, this galvanizing welds like poo. All right, good enough. Let's let that cool, and then I'll wire wheel it all off clean, and we'll take a look at what we got. Weld's a little bit cleaned off. Try and show you here. Now, 60-10 on galvanize is not going to make the prettiest of welds, trust me. But overall, it will definitely do for what we're doing here. So I decided rather than welding on another plate down here, which is just going to end up scraping even more on stuff, I think what I'm going to do is buff all this off and then run some hard surfacing rods, just a couple passes on here to get a little bit better wear, because it hits mainly here and here and then up here. So I'm going to run a bead of hard surfacing over this and then some in here. And then I got to drill through here to the other side to bore this hole out. And then once I do that, I can start on this side and reinforce this piece, gusset it up. And then it'll be ready for some cleaning, priming, paint, and throw back on the Jeep. Well, I finished this up. My damn camera died on me. Figures, right? Let me bring this over. So this obviously looks a little bit rough, but this is a hard surfacing overlay, so you kind of want to run it on the cold side so it just sits on there. I just cranked out a ton of passes on that. But now, essentially, as this gets beat on rocks, it's going to hit this stuff. Now, this is not as hard as some of the hard surfacing out there. This is designed to be done in layers. It's more or less just like a form of stainless steel. So it's harder than the steel here, but it'll take a lot more wear and abuse. And it's not likely to crack. It's softer than like straight hard face. So anyways, I notched this little guy out here, welded that. So I'll weld it all the way around. And then I ended up just grinding this smooth so as rocks get caught on here that it's kind of more or less smooth so they just falls off of it. Other than that, I got to get a drill bit, drill this through tomorrow. There you go. And then I got to plate this up. So tomorrow I'll be able to finish this up and give it a coat of primer and then paint it, throw it right back on the Jeep, and then probably not bend these to shit anymore.